The breaking point. The first Krail ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. Silent and massive, it hung in the sky like a gleaming obsidian blade, reflecting the sun's light in hypnotic patterns that dazzled Earth's observatories. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the EDF Sentinel, Earth's premier defense vessel, watching the enormous alien craft with a mixture of awe and apprehension. "Any response to our hails?" she asked her communications officer. Lieutenant Zhao shook his head. "Nothing yet, Commander. Wait, incoming transmission." The view screen flickered to life, revealing what humanity would come to know as a Krail. The alien had iridescent purple skin stretched over an elongated skull, 4 amber eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and no visible mouth. Yet somehow, its thoughts translated directly into human language in their minds. "We come in peace and curiosity. We are the Kroll, travelers of the great void between stars. We seek knowledge and friendship." Those were the first words humanity heard from an alien civilization. They would not be the last, nor the most honest. Within days, diplomatic channels opened. The Krail shared technological marvels beyond human comprehension, medical advances that cured terminal diseases, energy sources that made fossil fuels obsolete, agricultural techniques that ended world hunger. Earth's governments formed the United Earth Diplomatic Court to handle relations with the Kroll. Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, led the diplomatic team. "They're giving us everything," Dr. Patel told Commander Reyes 6 months later during a reception at the newly constructed Kroll Embassy in Geneva. "Advanced medicine, clean energy, faster-than-light communication. It's unprecedented." Commander Reyes sipped her champagne, eyes tracking the Kroll ambassadors as they mingled with Earth's elite. "What do they want in return, Maya? Nobody gives something for nothing. Cultural exchange, they say. They're fascinated by human art, music, literature. They say we're uniquely creative among the species they've encountered." Reyes nodded but couldn't shake her unease. "And they're mapping our defense systems, population centers, resource deposits." "Elena, not everyone sees threats in gestures of friendship," Dr. Patel chided gently. "It's my job to see threats," Reyes replied. 20 years in Earth Defense Force teaches you caution." The Krail continued their generosity. They established outposts on Mars and Europa, claiming to help humanity expand into the solar system. They offered to upgrade Earth's nascent defense fleet with their technology. Most nations eagerly accepted. Commander Reyes was one of few voices urging restraint. "We're becoming dependent on technology we don't understand," she argued before the United Nations Security Council. "We need to reverse engineer these gifts, learn to build them ourselves." Her warnings were dismissed as paranoia, until the day the Krail ships in orbit suddenly changed configuration, weapons ports opening like hungry mouths. The attack began with precision strikes against Earth's major military installations. The Krail's energy weapons cut through Earth's most advanced defenses like they were paper. Commander Reyes was training cadets at the Luna base when the first reports came in. "Geneva's gone." Lieutenant Zhao's voice cracked over the emergency channel. "The entire diplomatic corps, just gone. Mars colony has gone silent. Europa outpost too. Commander, they're hitting us everywhere at once." Reyes acted instantly. "Battle stations. Lock down the base. Get me a secure channel to any EDF vessels still operational." Only 3 ships responded. The EDF Intrepid, Defiant, and Horizon. Captain James Chen of the Defiant reported the devastating news. "The Krail are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're claiming Earth as a resource acquisition zone. They've deployed ground forces in major cities. They're taking people, Commander, loading them onto transport ships." Reyes felt ice in her veins. "Taking them where?" "Unknown. The transports are jumping to FTL immediately after loading." For 2 weeks, Earth forces fought desperately against the Krail invasion. Humanity's weapons proved nearly useless against Krail shields. Cities fell one by one. Billions died or disappeared onto Corel ships. Commander Rice led the remnants of the EDF in guerrilla actions from the secret Olympus base beneath Mars' surface, a facility unknown even to the Krull. There she received the first piece of hope, a transmission from Dr. Maya Patel. The xenobiologist's face appeared on the screen, gaunt and bruised. "Elena, I don't have much time. I'm on one of their ships. They're experimenting on us, trying to understand human biology, psychology, our capacity for creativity. They harvest it somehow, extract it like a resource. Maya, where are you? We'll come for you." "No time. Listen, their shields have a vulnerability. They operate on a resonance frequency that." The transmission cut off in static. But it was enough. Rise assembled a team of Earth's remaining scientists and engineers. They worked tirelessly, analyzing recorded data from Krull shield emissions. After weeks of failures, Dr. Sanjay Kumar made the breakthrough. "It's sound," he explained, dark circles under his eyes from sleepless nights. "Their shields resonate at specific frequencies. If we can generate the exact counter-frequency, we can create destructive interference, cancel out the shield entirely." "How do we deliver this counter-frequency?" Rise asked. "Sonic emitters," Dr. Kumar replied. "We modify our communication arrays to project the counter-frequency. But we'd need to get close, dangerously close." Commander Rise straightened her uniform. "Then that's what we'll do." The plan was desperate. The 3 remaining EDF ships would attack a Krull harvester vessel in Earth orbit. The Intrepid and Horizon would provide distraction while the Defiant, carrying the prototype sonic emitter, would approach from the planet's shadow. Captain Chen volunteered for the most dangerous role. "The Defiant is the fastest ship we have left. If anyone can get close enough, it's us." The battle began at dawn. The Intrepid and Horizon emerged from hiding, weapons blazing against the massive Krull harvester. Their attacks did no damage but drew the alien vessel's attention. The Defiant slipped silently from Earth's shadow, accelerating toward the harvester's underbelly. Distance to target, 500 kilometers, Lieutenant Zhao reported on the Defiant's bridge. "They've spotted us," Tactical Officer Rodriguez warned. "Incoming fire." Captain Chen gripped his command chair. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us within emitter range." The Defiant danced through space, narrowly avoiding energy beams that could slice the ship in half. 300 kilometers, 200, 100. Emitter range achieved. Dr. Kumar called from the science station. "Activate emitter," ordered Chen. The modified communication array projected the counter-frequency directly at the Krull harvester. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a soap bubble popping, the shield around the alien vessel shimmered and disappeared. "Shield down," Kumar confirmed, voice tight with excitement. "Reading no shield activity. All weapons, fire," Chen commanded. The Defiant unleashed its entire arsenal, railguns, missiles, and energy weapons, against the now vulnerable harvester. The alien vessel, unaccustomed to taking direct fire, reeled under the assault. Critical systems failed, and secondary explosions tore through its hull. The harvester's destruction lit up Earth's sky like a second sun. For the first time since the invasion began, humans cheered. News of the victory spread through hidden resistance channels. The Krail could be hurt. They could be killed. But the victory came at a cost. The Intrepid was destroyed in the battle. The Horizon, heavily damaged, limped back to the Olympus base, and aboard the returning Defiant, Captain Chen discovered something that would change the course of the war. "Survivors," he reported to Commander Reyes. "We found human prisoners in the harvester's holding cells. Scientists, artists, musicians, the creative ones the Krail want most. And Commander, Dr. Patel is among them." Maya Patel, though weakened from her ordeal, provided crucial intelligence. "The Krail consume creativity," she explained to the War Council. "It's like a drug to them. Their natural capacity for innovation dried up millennia ago. They've been harvesting it from other species ever since. That's why they targeted Earth. We're exceptionally creative compared to other species they've encountered. Is that why they experiment on prisoners? Rise asked, struggling to contain her anger. Patel nodded grimly. They're trying to isolate the neurological basis of creativity, to extract and concentrate it. They've done this to dozens of species across the galaxy. Most are extinct now, used up, and discarded. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just an invasion. It was an extinction event. Commander Reyes stood, her decision made. Then we make sure that doesn't happen to humanity. We know their weakness now. We'll build more emitters, arm every ship, every fighter, every ground installation, and we'll take the fight to them. In the weeks that followed, Earth's resistance grew stronger. More Krail ships fell to the sonic emitter technology. Human prisoners were rescued by the thousands, and for the first time, the invaders began to retreat from certain engagements. General Williams of the North American Defense Corps summed up the changing tide. They thought we'd be easy prey. They didn't expect us to fight back so effectively. They certainly didn't expect us to turn their own technology against them. In the weeks that followed, Earth's resistance grew stronger. More Krail ships fell to the sonic emitter technology. Human prisoners were rescued by the thousands, and for the first time, the invaders began to retreat from certain engagements. General Williams of the North American Defense Corps summed up the changing tide. They thought we'd be easy prey. They didn't expect us to fight back so effectively. They certainly didn't expect us to turn their own technology against them. Commander Rice looked out at the assembled military leaders from around the world. Former enemies now united against a common threat. This is only the beginning, she said. We've proven we can hurt them. Now we need to drive them from our system entirely. And then, General Williams prompted. Rice's eyes hardened. And then we find our homeworld. Humanity's vengeance. 6 months after the first successful counterattack, Earth looked very different. The Krail occupation had been pushed back to isolated strongholds. The alien invaders, faced with unexpected and growing resistance, had withdrawn many of their forces to defend more critical objectives. In the underground command center beneath the ruins of Geneva, Commander Elena Reyes, now Admiral Reyes by unanimous vote of the United Earth Defense Force, stood before a holographic display of the solar system. Red markers indicated remaining Krail positions. They were fewer each day. Luna Base is secure, reported General Williams. Mars will be clear by the end of the week. The Krail are consolidating their forces around Jupiter's moons. Admiral Rice studied the tactical display. They're protecting something. The question is what? Dr. Maya Patel, who had become the foremost expert on Krail biology and psychology, offered her assessment. Based on intercepted communications, I believe they're building a dimensional gateway. They're calling for reinforcements. The room fell silent. Earth had just begun to turn the tide. If the Krail brought in additional forces, all would be lost. Then we strike now, Rice decided, before the gateway is operational. The operation was codenamed Thunderbolt. The newly constructed Earth fleet, 30 ships built with reverse-engineered Krail technology, would assault the Jupiter position. At the heart of the fleet was the flagship Humanity's Resolve, commanded by Admiral Rice herself. Dr. Sanjay Kumar had continued developing the sonic emitter technology. The new models are more powerful, with greater range, he explained during the mission briefing. But the Krail have begun adapting their shields. Each emission only works for a few seconds before their systems compensate. Then we make those seconds count, Rice replied. The battle for Jupiter was the largest engagement of the war. Earth ships, equipped with sonic emitters and armed with weapons derived from Krail technology, clashed with the alien fleet around Europa. The fighting was fierce and losses heavy on both sides. But humanity had learned to fight smarter, not just harder. Captain Maitland of the EDF Phoenix described the turning point. We used their battle doctrine against them. The Krail fight in rigid formations, expecting enemies to do the same. We scattered our forces, attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. They couldn't adapt quickly enough. When the battle ended, the dimensional gateway was destroyed before it could be activated. More importantly, the Earth forces captured intact Krail vessels, including a command ship with navigational data. "We have their star charts," Lieutenant Zhao announced, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. "Coordinates for their supply lines, outposts, and—" He paused, hardly believing the data before him. Their homeworld. For the first time, humanity could take the offensive. Admiral Rise wasted no time. Scout ships were dispatched to nearby star systems, confirming what Dr. Patel had theorized. The Krull Empire spanned dozens of worlds, most populated by subjugated species harvested for their creativity. On Proxima Centauri, Earth scouts made first contact with the Araxians, a species that had been fighting Krull occupation for generations. On Ta City, they found the Volari, whose civilization had been reduced to slave labor in Krull extraction facilities. Both species eagerly joined forces with humanity. Admiral Rise addressed the growing alliance from the bridge of the humanity's resolve. The Krail believed themselves invincible because no single species could stand against them. But together, sharing knowledge and resources, we can end their predation once and for all. The alliance grew as more species joined. The crystalline lithoids, the gaseous aeroforms, the aquatic meridians. Each brought unique perspectives and abilities to the fight. Each had suffered under Krail dominion, and each recognized something special in humanity, not just creativity, but an indomitable will to fight against overwhelming odds. Dr. Patel worked with scientists from allied species to develop more effective weapons against the Krail. Their biology has a critical weakness, she explained during a coalition briefing. The neurotransmitters they use to process harvested creativity are highly unstable. If we can disrupt them, we can incapacitate Krull forces without destroying them. Non-lethal options, questioned Araxian Commander Krell, his scaled skin shifting colors with emotion. After what they've done to our worlds. Justice, not vengeance. Admiral Rise responded. We end the threat, but we don't become like them in the process. The coalition assembled the largest fleet ever seen in the galaxy. Over 200 ships from a dozen species, all bound for the Krull homeworld in the Deneb system. The journey would take 3 weeks at maximum FTL speed. During the voyage, Admiral Rise spent long hours in her quarters, studying Krull history gleaned from captured databases. They weren't always like this, she told her senior staff. Their records show they were once creators themselves, artists, philosophers, builders. Then something changed. What happened to them? Asked Captain Chen, now her first officer. They discovered they could extract creativity from other species more efficiently than developing it themselves. They became addicted to the process, dependent on it. They stopped creating and became only consumers. The fleet arrived at Deneb to find a Krull homeworld heavily defended. Orbital platforms, defense satellites, and hundreds of warships formed a seemingly impenetrable barrier around the planet Krail Prime, a world of gleaming cities and vast extraction facilities where the creativity of countless species was processed and consumed. They've committed nearly their entire fleet to defend their homeworld, observed Volari Admiral Selith, her tentacles waving anxiously over the tactical display. As we expected, Rise replied. They know we're coming for them. The battle plan was complex but elegant. While the main fleet engaged the Krail defenses head-on, drawing their attention and fire, a smaller strike force would approach from Deneb's sun, using its radiation to mask their signature. This team, led by Admiral Rise herself, would deploy Dr. Patel's neurodisruptor device directly into the atmosphere of Krull Prime. The device won't kill them, Dr. Patel explained one final time. It will permanently disrupt their ability to process harvested creativity. They'll have to learn to create for themselves again or live without it. The battle began at dawn, Earth time. The main coalition fleet emerged from FTL on the system's edge, immediately drawing Krill fire. The fighting was more intense than any previous engagement, with losses mounting quickly on both sides. Meanwhile, the strike team made their approach, skimming dangerously close to Deneb's churning surface before swinging toward Krull Prime. They encountered minimal resistance. Just as planned, the Krell had committed their forces to the main battle. Entering atmosphere, Lieutenant Zhao reported as the humanity's resolve plunged toward the planet's surface. Detection countermeasures holding. Targeting the central processing facility, Captain Chen confirmed. Neurodisruptor armed and ready. Through the view screen, Admiral Reyes could see the sprawling complex below, the heart of the Krull Empire, where the stolen creativity of countless species was refined and consumed. Among the buildings, Krell civilians moved about, unaware of the reckoning descending upon them. For a moment, Reyes hesitated. This would affect every Krill, not just their military. Admiral, Chen prompted, we're in optimal deployment range. Reyes thought of Earth's cities in ruins, of the billions taken or killed, of Maya Patel's bruised face when they'd rescued her, of all the species driven to extinction by Krell hunger. Yet she also remembered the ancient Krell art and philosophy she'd studied. They had been creators once. They could be again. Deploy the neurodisruptor, she ordered. The device activated, releasing an invisible wave of energy that swept across the planet. There was no explosion, no destruction, just silence as the processing facilities shut down. On the planet's surface, Krell began to collapse, their neural systems temporarily overloaded by the disruption. It's done, Dr. Patel confirmed, monitoring the readings. The effect is spreading globally. It's working exactly as designed. Reyes opened a channel to the Krull command frequencies. Attention Krell forces. Your ability to process harvested creativity has been permanently neutralized. Your empire's foundation is gone. The coalition forces demand your immediate and unconditional surrender. For long moments, there was no response. Then, one by one, Krell ships began powering down their weapons. The surrender was total. In the aftermath, the coalition established a temporary governing council for former Krell territories. Subjugated species were freed, their worlds restored to them. Reparations were arranged to help rebuild civilizations damaged by centuries of exploitation. The Krell themselves faced a difficult transition. Without their creativity harvesting, they experienced something akin to withdrawal. Many died. Others descended into madness. But some, particularly the younger generations, began to rediscover their own capacity for creation. 5 years after the Battle of Deneb, Admiral Elena Reyes returned to Krull Prime as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Coalition. The planet had changed dramatically. Where extraction facilities once stood, schools and art centers now flourished. Young Krell displayed their first original works in public galleries, crude by their ancestors' standards, but genuinely their own. One such artist, a Krell named Zeleth, approached Reyes at a diplomatic function. You could have destroyed us, the young alien said, its thoughts conveying both accusation and gratitude. Many in the coalition wanted to. Destruction is easy, Reyes replied. Redemption is harder, but more worthy. Is that human wisdom? Zeleth asked. Reyes smiled. Perhaps, or perhaps it's something we all understand, deep down. The true measure of civilization isn't how it treats its friends, but how it treats its enemies. As she looked out over the transformed Krell world, Reyes reflected on humanity's journey, from near extinction to leadership in a galactic coalition, from victims to victors to architects of peace. The stars no longer seemed threatening but full of possibility. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, it had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to help build a galaxy where creativity was shared freely rather than stolen, where diverse species worked together rather than preying upon one another. And if another threat emerged from the depths of space, well, they would find humanity ready. And this time, they wouldn't stand alone.